Hi guys, Andy N, spoken label, back in the house on a Monday morning. Yeah, a Monday morning of all places. Been out for a walk today with the wife up and on the canal there. So I've done about nearly 5 miles and I'm shattered. But it's great because I give the chance to go and catch up with a friend of mine here today, a gentleman I met a couple of weeks ago actually, when we should have had on. A long story short of it, we should have been chatting to a writer friend of ours called Molly Garcia, and she had a power cut that day, so it didn't happen. So I ended up chatting to an actor called Kenton Craig, who's with me today now. I met Kenton then because he was doing the audible version of one of Molly's books. So I got on that great with him. I wanted to get him on today to talk to him separate anyway about his acting career, etc. So Kenton, over to you, buddy. So tell us first of all then, what started you off all your creativity? And we'll start from there.
Crikey. Hello,
Or is it a
everyone.
long story, is it?
Well, I mean, at my age,
Well,
53.
I'm older than you, mate, I think.
Well, I'm 53 this year,
Oh no,
and
you're not. I'm 50, I'm 51, so yeah, we're near there.
yeah, well, you look younger than me as well. So, well, acting is a very new career for me, believe it or not. I spent a full career in the military, in
Oh,
the
did
Royal
you?
Navy, and in the police service.
Oh yeah.
And then it sounds a little bit cliche, but my
Mm,
sort of route into acting was through amateur theatre,
yeah.
where I was living in Devon, little town called Honiton, which is about 15 miles east of Exeter. And there was a fantastic little community theatre company there called Honiton Community Theatre Company, and we had I started basically just going along with my daughter. So my daughter was about 10 or 11 at the time, and she wanted to join the society to go into their local
Mm,
pantomime. And at the time, it was the Honiton Pantomime Society, and that's all they did. But there was one very forward-thinking young man called Alex Jackson, who was probably about 17, 18, just doing his A-level drama at the local school, but had a career vision for himself as becoming a professional director, theatre
mm.
director. And indeed, he is now. You'll find him yourself on any platform. He's a writer and a director and a producer. Anyway, he even from that young age, he took a grip of that amateur theatre company and started taking it in directions that it hadn't been taken before. From just doing a pantomime once a year to all of a sudden doing 3 or 4 productions a year, which could have been Shakespeare, musical theatre, plays, as well as the sort of traditional pantomime. Anyway, long story short, my daughter joined, and I just sat at the side, sort of watching the last 5 minutes of the rehearsals each week, because you weren't allowed in there unless you were a member, and I was just picking her up, as a dad would do. And I said to her one time, I said, "Oh, looks really good fun. This I might come along." And she said, "No, you're not coming. This is my thing. You're not coming along." Anyway, so the following year, I said to her again, I said, can I come this year? And I quite fancy having a go. And the society actually were asking for men, because in a lot of amateur theatre companies, they always struggle for men, and particularly men that can sing or have a bit of musicality. Anyway, she said, "All right, you can come." This is a 12-year-old girl. "All right, you can come, but just don't speak to me. Just don't speak to me when I'm there, because I don't want you destroying my street cred. Anyway, so she let me come, and my first role, I was cast as the Fairy Beautiful, in Sleeping Beauty. And I was given a pink tutu, a pink and black basque, and a pair of
Whoa.
pink wings.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was my first on-stage role in the
Wow.
pantomime.
It didn't put you off dressing up like that then, basically,
Well,
straight
it,
away.
it was actually such good fun. We had such a laugh, and I just developed this love for standing up in front of people, making a fool of myself. But you get over that, you get over that feeling of nervousness eventually, and you begin to just enjoying it. So that was my first experience of acting on stage, other than being in school nativity when I was a little lad. Um, and that developed over a few years, doing bigger roles, better roles, in the society, expanding my visions out to other societies in Exeter, which were better resourced. Um, and then I was coming up to the end of my police career, coming up to the point of retirement in inverted commas, and I just wanted to find something different because my father died about, what was it now? It was nearly 13, 14 years ago now. And when he was a showman, in so much as he used to sing in the working men's clubs in
Oh,
Northern
whoa,
England
whoa,
when he was
yeah.
a younger man. He's actually he has a vinyl record out from when he was a young man, and he was part of a Methodist church,
Wow.
and they had a band called the Gospel Folk Four, and they cut a record, and he was a soloist singer on that record. Anyway, so he was a bit of a showman, and I just wanted to. So my job in the police was, quite often very negative, because you're dealing with the bad and the gory and things that people only need the police when things have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and because he died, it always, when a close family member or friend dies, it always seems that a lot of people will have a review of their life and what's going on and where they're up to, and maybe have a rewire, and that's what went on for me in my mind. I needed to find some positivity, and the theatre gave me that outlook, and that positivity in my life came back and developed, and then the creativity that came with that. So that's how it started. And when I got to the end of my policing career, I was looking for what's next. And I just had this little inkling, this pipe dream, that rather than, as many police officers coming to retirement do, they find a support officer, a support role, going back into the police service or a similar sort of organisation in a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 role. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have a complete change and get away from that sort of lifestyle that I'd had for 30 years or 32 years. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to apply for drama school and see what happens. So I applied through
Mm.
UCAS to different university courses, but I also applied to a couple of mainstream conservatoire style drama schools. And one of them, for some strange reason, decided to accept me on their master's degree program rather than the BA, because I had originally applied for the 3-year BA course.
Mm.
And the guys that auditioned me and interviewed me said, we think you'd be better on the master's course because you'll be with people who are slightly more mature and in a not in a disrespectful way to their own sort of BA students. They said, you'll be alongside 18 and 19-year-olds if you're on the BA course. And as a 51-year-old guy, you might find that a little bit more difficult. As it was, I went on to the master's course at the now defunct ALRA, Academy of Live and Recorded Arts. Uh,
Mm.
and their northern campus was in Wigan. Um, and that's where I went. We moved lock, stock, and barrel from Devon, which is where we were living, um, and moved back up to my hometown of Blackpool so that I could commute to Wigan. Which was, it was a big upheaval, but it kind of worked for me and it worked for my family, and because both of my kids had both moved out and gone to university, and so we weren't really impacting on them. And my wife was giving up her job that she had anyway and needed to give up her job. So it all sort of coincided at the right time for all of us, and we moved back to Blackpool. Um, Sadly, Alra died. It went bust in April 21, which was, we were part way through the course. The master's degree course was 15 months or 5 terms, if you like.
Mm.
And after the first 2 terms, I was actually on holiday abroad, and I started picking up a bit of chit chat on social media. Didn't really know what was going on, but then discovered an email in my junk folder from the ALRA board saying, with immediate effect, ALRA has closed. And so it was like, whoa, what's going on? So that was all of the students, both in London and in Wigan,
Wow. Bad news, isn't it?
across 3 years of BA plus master's degree, director students and the acting students. So there was probably about, I guess it'd be about 400 students, basically all left out in the cold. But very quickly, the Department for Education stepped in and said, "This isn't. We've got to do something for these people." And they apparently approached a number of drama schools, independent drama schools, and the one that was appointed was Rose Bruford College, which is a really esteemed drama school, based mainly in Sidcup in Kent, but they have bases all around, not just the country, but they've got sort of satellite bases across the world in different places. So they were a very well thought of and respected drama school, and they took us under their wing and reopened the building, and rehired some of the existing staff, didn't rehire some of the others, but basically put the package back together within a really short space of time so that we were all enabled to finish our studies and the courses. So I graduated in December last year, December 22, from Rose Bruford College, which was a real, thinking back to it now, it has completely changed my life, my lifestyle. I've met some really wonderful people. My sort of creative side has come out to the fore. I've started writing.
I remember you mentioned this to me last time we spoke, so we'll come on to that in a moment, definitely. So I had the
Yeah,
feeling it would lead you into writing, I must admit.
yeah, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I'll be honest. I've not really known whether I'm coming or going, because I didn't do a BA degree at that
Hmm.
age that I would have gone to university. I was in full-time work from the age of 16. So it was a complete different thing for me to go into full-time education as an adult. And some people, my son included, because he's a history
Hmm.
degree graduate, and he's got a master's degree in law. So he's a bit of an academic, and he sort of looks down a little bit on my degree of being in, oh, it's just acting. But actually, I discovered there was quite a bit of academic work within the acting program.
There
You
is,
know,
there is, because I did my degree in creative writing and acting. I did many years
okay,
ago. Yeah, and it does. It's surprising. The theory of it can stagger you
yeah,
sometimes. It can do.
yeah. And then of course, as part of the course, we did training in audio work to help us to try and do some voice acting work, and that's how I ended up on Audible with Molly, because
Yeah.
a
Tell us about that
creative,
then, because I think it's
yeah,
nice. Because Molly told me her side of the story when I spoke to her the other week, which is we're coming out after this podcast for various reasons. But like I said, but yeah. So tell us about the experience of that and how you first met Molly then, and how it
so
was doing a long book for her like that.
yeah, it was it was a big learning curve. Anyway, so I've got this inkling. I thought, I'm relatively good with the voice. Our instructor at college, when we were doing the radio room work and the voiceover work, she said, you will get some work in this, and it's something that I can do from home. In fact, right behind me in the camera, I converted. This is my little home studio. I
Wow.
converted a
Now,
wardrobe in
if
the
people are
spare
watching
room.
this on YouTube and Instagram, they will see what we're looking at here, basically.
There
But
you
obviously,
go.
for audio, to give us a description and all for our audio viewers as well, Kenton, what's behind you there?
What's that? So, yeah, well, it was basically a double wardrobe that's fitted into this spare room, and I've gutted the inside of it, and then this was when they were refurbing the audio room at Rose Bruford. When Rose Bruford took over the college in Wigan, or the building, they were doing a bit of investment and they were refurbing. So all of these acoustic foam panels were rescued from a skip because they'd just taken it apart and thrown it away. And I said, I know exactly what I can do with those. So I recovered them and I've created myself an audio booth here with a little desk. You can see my sort of microphone setup, and it's just great because, and this is where I sat for however long it took me to do Molly's book, and that's, that's just a little bit of initiative, I suppose, on my part. Not that I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I thought, well, to get on with voice acting stuff, you've got to have facility to be able to do it yourself at home.
Yeah, you've got
Because
straight away with it, because I think what you've done there is really good, because you set yourself up with your own home studio. You're
yeah,
knocking out a lot of the background noise and the all kinds of layer problems you're gonna have with certainly doing it for
yeah,
that one. So
yeah. And so having sort of set that up, I was then exploring what work opportunities there were, and I came across ACX, which is the platform that is the producing platform for Audible. And I created myself a profile, uploaded my sort of voice demo samples onto the platform. Completely went against their advice because they've got ACX have got like a university in inverted commas to try and help people learn how to get on with Audible and do some audio work. And one of the instructions was do not upload a generic voice reel sample. But I didn't have anything else available, so I at the time, so I did. And then literally within a few days, I got a contact from Molly via ACX, and just saying, I like the sound of your voice. I quite fancy it for this collection of short horror stories that I've got, and I'd like you to be the voice of it, if you will. And I had a look at it. She sent me the sort of the script, and I thought, well, do you know what? I've got nothing else to do, so I might as well have a go at this. Accepting that it's so there's various ways of being paid as a voice actor on ACX, and you can either try and find jobs where people will give you a fee, or you can accept a royalty share sort of package. And it was the royalty share package that Molly was offering, and I thought, well, I'll do it. It could be a big seller, could make a bit of money out of this, but more importantly for me at the time was getting the experience as a recently launched career in voice acting. It was an opportunity to throw myself in at the deep end.
yeah, definitely.
I was up front with Molly. I said, look, I've never done it before. I'm recently graduated, not done an audiobook before. So as long as you're happy knowing that going forward, I will do it. And then you just launch yourself into it. I think it's 7 hours, 47 minutes in total, COMEUPPANCE. And it took me in the region of about 70 hours to produce that, 7 hours and 47
I
minutes.
was going to wonder how long it took you to do that straight away, because like you would have had to obviously prepare yourself. There've been loads of outtakes in it, 'cause I've done bits and pieces like that before for people myself. It's
It
not
was
somebody doing one take. That's any stretch of thought.
No, I mean it was surprisingly difficult, because they've got quite a specific set of quality standards that you've got to achieve, around noise levels, noise floors, all this sort of terminology that I've never heard of before. So the 70 hours encompasses all of the first takes, having to go back, do further takes, and then having to edit it into, get rid of, the heavy breathing that they don't want, and stuff like that. And then mastering it into a quality that will pass through their filters. It's to do with, because not everybody listens to. I don't really know, because I'm not strange enough, I'm not an audiobook listener generally.
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody apparently listens to audiobooks at the same speed. You can increase the pace and the speed of it,
All right. I
and
didn't
stuff
know
like
that.
that.
Didn't
No, I
know that
didn't.
myself.
So they have these quality checks that you've got to pass. And to be honest, there's the first one of the short stories I recorded, I had to re-record at the end of the process because I could not get it, could not master it to the quality that they wanted. So I had to redo it with different levels set in the booth to be able to then get it. Because I'm not a technical person really, but I do understand a little bit about it. And all I know is that you've got to put good quality recording in to be able to get quality out. So it's no
Yeah.
good recording something that sounds rubbish when it goes in, thinking, oh, I'll just use all the different technical gizmos that you can get online and stuff now to create a good product, because it just doesn't work. So yeah, so that's what we ended up doing. Kept up to date with Molly during the course of the time that I was doing the recordings. So every chapter, if you will, or every story that I'd done, when I uploaded it, I sent it to Molly for approval, and all the way through she was very supportive, and I actually finished it quicker than I thought I would in terms of
Mm,
calendar days, because I just
cool.
threw myself into it and did nothing else for about a fortnight. I just did it full time and thought, well, I'll put everything else to one side, get this cracked, and then I can move on. So that's sort of how the process works with me and Molly.
No, cool. No, like it's you can see from I played it back. So Molly sent the book to me. People are wondering, obviously, in prep when I chatted to her. I thought you did. I didn't know that it was your first time doing that, John. I didn't think to ask Molly that one. I must admit, but I was hooked by it. I thought you read it absolutely perfectly. He's
Thank you.
engaging and it freaked me out at the same time. That's the best combination,
Yeah.
that really.
Yeah, you don't want to be listening to it if you've got a bit of a weak constitution when it comes to things. And
Oh
don't eat a
no,
big meal beforehand. Yeah,
it
there's a bit.
wasn't the best sort of book to listen to just for you to go to bed either. I was
No,
finding as
no,
well.
no,
One of
no.
the greatest books I've read, and I'm married to a horror novelist, so he says it all really. So yeah, did you find obviously back to you then? Obviously, because you said you, I know most of you done a lot of stage work, haven't you? Really, prior to
Yeah,
that, did you
yeah.
find you learned about a lot about yourself as an actor doing that?
Or doing stage work or the
Yeah,
audio.
stage work to this because it's a different sort of skill altogether, really, isn't it?
It is, but if you talk to any sort of experienced actor or director that does voice work, they will all refer back to it is still acting. So the skills that you learn and the experience you get when you're analyzing a script for a play on stage, and your choices about how to develop a character, is really the same as what you would employ when you're creating some voice work, whether it be an audio book or doing voiceover for a commercial voiceover or something like that. You're still using the skills, just in a slightly different way, I would say.
Yeah, I think so as well. But that's straight away with it. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree. So moving on from that, then, because I want to touch about your writing in a minute. But I know you were telling me off mic before that you've got a play coming up shortly, haven't you? Unfortunately, this podcast goes out just after that, so we'll just miss that. But tell us about that then. What's coming up?
So it's kind of a community theatre production locally in Blackpool. There is a theatre called the Old Electric. It's in a building which used to be, when I was a kid growing up in Blackpool, it used to be a cinema. And it's on
Mm-hmm.
Springfield Road in Blackpool, which is just behind the Butlins Metropole Hotel. So it's really close to the seafront. Um, it was then converted from a cinema into a whole different range of different sort of late night venues, nightclub, pub, this sort of thing over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
it became derelict. And then there's a lady called Mel, who is the artistic director.
Mm-hmm.
She put some form of package together and a plan. She used to work for the RSC and people like this, but is from Blackpool originally, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
returning home, and she got some funding from Arts Council and Lottery to open it as a theatre, as a community venture for Blackpool, and it's really good. It's very forward thinking in terms of what it wants to do and what it puts on. So there's all sorts of different unique productions that go through it. Obviously, it's only small, but it gives young and not so young artists opportunity to go and perform. Anyway, the production we're doing, and it starts this Thursday, is it's like what they call a threepenny opera.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've acted in one or two of them myself in the past. Yeah, so
Okay, so it's called Dead Dog in a Suitcase and Other Love Songs. And it was created by Knee High Theatre Company. And they first put it on some years ago now, but not it's quite a modern piece, but it's kind of like a dystopian piece that's kind of dealing with corrupt society, corrupt politicians.
probably not so much dystopia nowadays. Really,
No,
it's quite
well, exactly. I mean, the without wishing to spoil it for anybody, one of the opening preambles to the show is a voiceover across the speakers, and it basically berates Boris Johnson. I won't say what it says because you won't be able to release because it's a little bit fruity. But
probably not. I've been looking to get away with one or two bits and pieces of him already. I'm not going to tempt fate,
yeah,
definitely.
but that's the play. It's got music, it's got dance. I mean, how ridiculous getting me to dance at my age, but
Yeah,
nevertheless,
probably not as bad as me dancing,
dancing,
mate. Yeah.
dance in the loosest possible definition. But there's banana daiquiris. I play the role of Mayor Joseph Goodman, who dies on page 3 of the script, and then comes back later in the play. But I also multi-role 2 or 3 other roles as well. And so it's been really good fun to rehearse each week, and this is the culmination of sort of 4 or 5 months of being in the room with the other actors and the director. So it's I'm looking forward to it, both in terms of getting on the stage in front of people again, because I've not been on a public stage for a couple of years now, because of being in drama school, and also to actually get it done and finished, and then look for what's next and what comes next. So
Brilliant. Good luck with that, definitely, mate. With it. So now, last thing we'll touch on here, you've hinted at this twice already, because I didn't know about, was you've actually started doing your own bits of writing now as well, haven't you? So is there
yeah,
any hints you want to say about that?
well, it was kind of years ago. I did a little bit of story writing. Sorry, this thing's pinging on my laptop whilst this is going on.
It's
Anything
typical, mate.
about that? I'm not sure how to turn that off. There's my technical abilities for you. But it was brought about during the drama school course. We did quite a bit of writing actually within the course, because various times you're asked to do free writing to try and get your creativity going, get just putting something down on paper or on a laptop, just to try and create something from nothing. And the culmination of the course was the final. They don't call it a dissertation on this course. They called it a personal research project.
That's no different, yeah.
Yeah, we were tasked basically to create our own performance, and it could have been anything. It could have been a stage play, it could have been a TV documentary, or it could have been a short film. Well, because of my love for voice work and radio plays, I decided to try and create my own radio play, which included writing the script. You don't have to write it, but sort of take a couple of steps back from what I was talking about before, the old electric theatre and the community venture that is. Mel Whitehead, who's the artistic director, also ran playwriting courses
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
still does. And it's free. So anybody that's local can sign up to these sort of courses and get opportunity to write. And although it was a busy period because I was at drama school, I signed up was it last year? I think it was, yeah, last year. And I did once a week for 3 months, did the course to do playwriting. And as part of that course, I began to do some more formal writing in terms of the creative writing for as a playwright. Um, with the promise from Mel that, you know, if you go forward with what you write and it's of a standard that can be developed, they would then put it through like a research and development phase. And then eventually, potentially, if it's good enough, then put it on the stage at the Old Electric and then support
Ooh.
you to go further with it, you know, to get bigger venues and outside of Blackpool. So that was the sort of the promise from that course. So I started writing this radio play, not
Hmm.
as a radio play. I started writing it as a theatre piece, but then because of the constraints of the drama school course and the
Hmm.
research project, I decided to turn it into a radio play format. So I've written, and it's not completed. It's kind of, I'd say it's probably about half complete, but there was enough of a chronological story um, that I could put together at drama school as part of the PRP. I got other actors from my course to come in and do the radio work in the booth with me to record different character um, things, and then as part of the PRP, I edited. Can't even say the word now. Put it all together,
Hmm.
and it became a 30-minute radio
Well
play.
done, mate. Well done
Um,
with it, so.
yeah, so it was really interesting to do. Learned a lot, obviously, about acting in radio play, but also the writing process of putting together dialogue between characters and such like, and creating those dramatic effects, but within a radio play context, because
Brilliant.
it is different. Every form of these things is different, as you'll be aware, from TV to film to theatre work on stage and then radio work. It's all still acting, but it's slightly different. But the writing has been a real kind of eye opener for me that it is possible. And actually, one of the modules we had at drama school, the instructor was a professional actor. I won't say any names, but she was a good friend with a quite a high profile actor called Maxine Peake. They were good friends, and she had a little video snippet that she showed us one day from Maxine Peake to us as students. Uh, and Maxine Peake basically said, you've got to create your own work if you want to get on as an actor.
Yeah,
You've got
agreed.
to write your own stuff, and you've got to do it yourself. I mean, everybody that goes to drama school dreams of getting that call from, you know, Hollywood or from wherever and you've been spotted and you're going to make it. You're going straight onto the West End
Yeah,
stage,
agreed.
but 99.9% of actors don't have that, you know, opportunity. Good luck to those that do, obviously. I mean, it's amazing. Some people just drop into the industry and then fly from day one. But most people, including the likes of Maxine Peake, would not have had that stellar start. And you start somewhere, and her advice to us, which is definitely to be supported, is if you can create your own work in whatever way that is, it keeps you motivated and keeps you exercising the creativity, the creative muscle, whether that be writing or performing on stage or in a TV
Yeah,
situation.
agreed. Agreed to you completely on it all, mate. So no, great stuff,
Yeah,
mate. Good luck with that play. Definitely
yeah.
so.
Thank you. Thank
Hope it
you.
goes well for you, mate. Definitely. So we'll wrap up this point here anyway, because we're going to chat a bit more off mic anyway. But
Okay.
obviously, if you want people to find out more about you, where do you recommend they go?
Well, I haven't yet got my own website. It's not something that you really need, and unless you're Benedict Cumberbatch or Miranda
or
Hart
Maxine Peake, yeah,
or
definitely.
Maxine Peake. No, nobody's going to search for Kenton Craig and hope that they can find all sorts out about me on my own webpage. But yeah, obviously, Spotlight is something for professionals. So I'm on Spotlight, which is the sort of platform that all professional actors will be on, but also Twitter, Kenton Craig, or Instagram, Kenton Craig actor, and those are my sort of public profiles, if you will. I'm not particularly very au fait with social media. My own views about it, but I keep hold of those accounts because they're useful to see what's going on and at least have a presence, I suppose.
I think you need it nowadays, definitely. Like I said, is
Yeah,
if it wasn't for all the bits and pieces I do myself, creativity, I probably wouldn't even bother with social media. So I think we're of that generation, aren't we, where we're
yeah,
just before it. If it's and it's that it gets me people on about TikTok and stuff like that, and I'm sat there thinking, I've used it.
yeah.
It's not me.
No, no, I've not. I've never been down the TikTok route, and I have caught myself in the past. You know, you go down rabbit holes, don't you, with social media if you're not careful, and you just end up spending an inordinate amount of time on something that is completely useless to you in life, but you've just wasted an hour and you don't know where that hour's gone. So I try and avoid all of that if possible. But yeah, that's where my profiles are, and I'll keep those going, if nothing else, for the humour that it provides to my children.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely, mate. Definitely on that. So, right, anyway, we'll wrap up here anyway, lads, on this part. And definitely good
Okay,
luck for the future, this one, Kenton. Keep in
thank you.
touch over the play, mate. And I can support you again, mate. I'd love to have you on here. So we'll call it
Brilliant.
quits there today, guys and girls. So, as I always say on Spoken Label, as I forgot the name of the restaurant now. Oh God, Don Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, "Stay safe and stay over, and we will see you all next time."